Hello students, myself Vishal Pandey and I welcome you all in my online class. Today we are taking a new topic, a new chapter all together from your Moments book of class 9th in the Kingdom of Fools. Now we will be talking about this chapter in a detailed way. As you can see children, this chapter has been written by the great author from South India, A.K. Ramanujan. Let us have a look about him. Now this is the portrait of A.K. Ramanujan. You can visualize his physical appearance as well. Let us understand about the author. If you talk about the author, especially A.K. Ramanujan, basically he was born in South India itself and he is a very famous short story writer, a poet and as well as a novelist. So he has contributed many things in the Indian English literature. Now let us talk about the story of which we have taken today about the kingdom. Now I have taken in the Kingdom of Fools. Now in the kingdom represents a city, a state where all the incidents will be taking place. So we will be taking a brief introduction about that particular kingdom. So if you talk about the kingdom, it is the story of a kingdom where the king and the minister both were foolish. Now this is nothing new, because in your childhood as well you have gone through these types of stories. Whenever you get a time or a chance, you sit before your grandfather or grandmother and they used to tell you the stories of king and queen, ministers and also and so forth. So if you remember that those stories, you can correlate yourself, because this story is a very interesting one. It will give you some ideas how to deal with the society or how to cope with the society. You will be also understanding that how you can create humor in the society itself. So if you talk about the foolishness of the kings and the ministers, you will be very much clear that this story will give you a comic or a comedy a lot to laugh. They had ordered that night be treated as day and all people should work after dark. What is this? What you can understand by this sentence or this statement? In the Kingdom of Fools, which can be translated in Hindi as Andher Nagari Chaupat Raja, what do you understand by this statement? That king has given an order, he has sanctioned an order that under his rule, under his regime, in his kingdom, night will be treated as day and day will be treated as night. What do you mean by this? In night people will work, in night farmers will go into the farms to do the farming, in night shopkeepers will open the shop, and wherever it will be a day, everybody will sleep, nobody will work, no animals will be on the road. So he was trying to be a different in nature. He wants to prove himself better than anybody else, the king. So king was all about foolish. So king was foolish. He was a representative of foolishness. They should go to bed as soon as the sun came up. What was his ideas? What was his concepts under his kingdom? That whenever the sun will rise, when the dawn will take place, everybody should go to bed. King's order were followed by the people by fear of death. Now if the monitor of your class is bad in nature, he will spoil the class. If the head of your family is not performing according to your stability or according to your desires, he will pollute the family as well. Similarly, if the king of a country, if the main head of a country is not working according to the expectations of the people or the citizens, he or she will abolish that country as well. Similarly, we have the king itself. King, because the fear of the king, people are bound to follow his orders and all. Let us see what happens then. Now, what happened one day, Guruji came up with his disciple. Disciple means his student in that kingdom, in that particular kingdom, because they can be considered as Brahmin, and they were traveling through this kingdom to that, and unfortunately they reached in the kingdom of fools, and the disciple was a food freak. Now, what is a food freak? He's a food lover who wants to eat more and more things, but because they were poor, they were asking people for money and all, because they were you can say the travelers, those who used to go here and there in search of food. So he was tempted with the cheap food available in the kingdom of fools. Now, in the kingdom of fools, there were certain reasons for what they used to sell. Even one banana and the dozen of bananas at a single currency. Let me give you one example. In the kingdom of fools, if you want to buy one banana, it will may cost 1 rupee. If you want to buy 12 bananas, that is 1 dozen banana, it will also cost 1 rupee. So this was the different variation in the kingdom of fools. So the disciple liked it, the student liked it, and he decided that this is a very good place to live upon, because it is a very cheapest area. We can get each and every product at a very cheap cost, so we can survive here in a good way. But let us understand the Guruji's view. What was the view of Guru? He was altogether wise. Guru was wise, and he knew that the behavior of fools is unpredictable. What is unpredictable? Which cannot be predicted, which cannot be predicted. So unpredictable, in other words, you can understand, which cannot be said, or which cannot be correctly informed, which cannot be told to anyone. So unpredictable was because Guruji was wise, and he knew that this type of kingdom is very hazardous for us to survive in that, because altogether it was the kingdom of fools. So he advised the disciple not to stay there, but the disciple did not realize the danger as well. So ultimately, what was going on in the mind of Guruji, that he was telling his disciple continuously that please don't stay here, because it is the kingdom of fools, and as the king is also dangerous, because they are considering night as day and day as night. And let me tell you one more interesting thing about this story, because when the trouble starts, what is the real trouble in terms of this story, which is very interesting you as well to know. Thief breaks into a merchant's house. Now from here the story starts. This was the introduction of the story as disciple and Guruji came in the kingdom of fools. You can also, as I told you earlier, this story can be translated in Hindi as Andher Nagari and Chaupat Raja. So this is the story you have to understand. These are certain points. These are the characterization of the story, and this will help you a lot to understand the story's summary and the story as well. Now the king is looking after his kingdom. He is just involved in his regime, and what happens, we will understand the case. There are certain cases to which the king is very much fascinated. He will give his opinions, he will make his justice, and that particular justice will not be appropriate, because it is not justice, it will not be justice at all according to Guruji's and all the wise men. Thief breaks into merchant's house. Now keep this in your mind, the story is starting from here. A thief breaks into merchants, you know, a businessman, a small businessman. In his house a thief went. Wall collapse and the thief dies. When the thief was entering into his house, that particular wall collapsed, and because of that wall he died. Who died? Thief himself. The thief's brother, now one more character we can understand, brother of thief. The thief's brothers blames the merchant for his brother's death. Now how humorous this is. You can see this line, how humorous, how comedy is creating here, because thief is entering your house and suppose you are the merchant and he died unfortunately because of the falling of the wall, and now how you can be responsible for his death? But because this is the kingdom of fools, anything can happen here. The king summons the merchants. Now summons, what do you mean by summon? Summon means to give notice to anyone, so which is officially. This notice will be officially given by government, given by judiciary system or king himself. So we will be understanding in the next video that what happens to the merchant. Did he survive or he dies? And what happens to the king? Did he give the original or realistic justice, relevant justice or not? Everything will be discussed by me. Just go through this video and understand, read it, your book, read it out, so that you can understand more appropriately this story as well. Thank you so much.